I love to read, or at least I used to. I don't have as much time as I used to for that, and it's a great shame. But one thing I really hate is I hate getting into a book, maybe halfway through it, and realizing I'm reading something that I've read before. It's not original. I've heard it from someone else. Well, this little AI agent is going to take the guesswork out of choosing which information you invest time in. It's called Speedreader, and it's really, really simple. All you do is you jump in there, you grab a book that potentially you want to read or maybe refresh on. I'm going to choose Austen Clowns. Keep going. I loved Still Like an Artist, but I haven't had a chance to have a look at this one in detail. I haven't. And you pop it in there. Now, I remember I used to be a member of a book summary called Get Abstract, and they used to send these summaries of books. But what I've found with Get Abstract and other services like these, it doesn't give you the essence of the book. It doesn't go through the stories and the evidence. It doesn't take you on a journey. And so in most cases, the learning doesn't really stick as well. And I wanted to create an agent which wouldn't just go out on the internet and grab generic book summaries, but would actually unpack the text itself, pulling out what is relevant, the great ideas, the amazing frameworks, but importantly, telling me what I need to know, what's applicable, and even making a bit of a judgment call as to where I may be reading something that has repetition, is drawing on other courses, or alternatively is just a bit self-serving. And that's what we're going to get with Speedreader. We're not going to get a two-pager. We're going to get a breakdown of each chapter. We're going to get a breakdown of the concepts, a breakdown of where they're relevant, the practical implementation and the practical applications for me as a coach, for you as an advisor, an assessment, something we can really dive into. Now, I mentioned before, this is great for condensing books that you like. I like the look of that. Do I want to invest time and read it? It's also a great way of actually reminding yourselves of those books you've read in the past that have these really great insights that you'd love to get around to seeing again. Sometimes just doing something like this can trigger that memory. Oh, that's right. That's something I meant to implement. I love the way it not only pulls out quotes, but it breaks it down chapter by chapter, pulls out the key ideas, talks in detail about where they're applicable to specific situations. It even dives into a bit later on. It'll show you the good concepts, the frameworks, the action items it runs through. This is your way of running through and just getting the high level overview, not getting into a book and then realizing way too late. I love this bit. Practical systems I can implement this week. So important in terms of reading a book and being able to do something, because there's nothing worse than reading something and just realize you haven't taken advantage of it. It talks about recurring ideas, which is always good to hear. It reinforces what you already know. Or maybe it gives you a sense that, no, I don't want to go down that route again. I love pulling out chapters. Quotes are really important, as well as the stories and the metaphors is a really big part of it. Pay attention to what you pay attention to. I will not argue with strangers on the internet. Yeah, we think we'd all do that. Critical observations as well is important. It's making the point that there's a bit of repetition. And there's more than a few books I've put through this where it's gone, this is predominantly a sales exercise for whoever's producing it. But a great little tool. If you're someone who values information, values reading, but just find yourself not having the time to waste on reading something that's not worth it, or just wanting to recap other things, but pressed for time, Speedreader is one you should check out.